I have incredible video of a bomb blast interrupting Lebanese TV. And this is, before I tell you more about the bomb blast, it's not in English, okay? But listen to what is being discussed here and see if you can pick out a word after the incredible explosion, which I can't even imagine sitting in a studio and an explosion going off and just still sitting in my chair. I mean, it's amazing that these people do this because I know a lot of people, myself included, who would be so scared we would run out, as some people in the background do. See if you can pick out any words that sound familiar towards the end of the video. Listen.
عم بلمع بتقولوا بس الواقع عاطل. أنا برأيي نحن لازم نغير الواقع. إذا اليوم في
يبدو أنه انفجار دكتور حنين بالمحيط. سمعنا انفجار الآن و يهرعون إلى مكانه. جدار صوت أو انفجار لا نعلم بعد، ولكن دوي قوي سمعناه في هذه الأثناء. يبدو أنه طيران الإسرائيلي لا نعرف دكتور حنين، بس يعني صرنا أقل صوت نسمعه من.
There it is, Lewis. So this is a bomb that killed Lebanon's former finance minister and U.S. ambassador Mohammed Chatta. 4 others were killed in the attack, which is now widely believed to have been ordered by Hezbollah. Now, the word I was having you listen for is Israeli, right? There was a comment in there, a word that sounded kind of like Israeli or Israel, and that is what it was. Knowing nothing about the attack, on live television, the broadcaster says this seems like it's the Israeli Air Force. It turns out that that is not the case. Now, Lewis, this is a case to me where I got a bunch of emails from people saying, hey, David, you're probably going to go on the air and you're going to criticize that reporter for saying it seems like this was the Israeli Air Force who bombed us, having had no evidence. But the reality is that it fits that the Israeli Air Force would bomb Lebanon. And that's that. These are liberals, by the way. And to this, I say, absolutely not. This is, Lewis, like blaming Saddam for 9/11 because he's a violent guy and he would love to bomb the United States. So we're going to connect 9/11 to Saddam. We're going to start a war based on that connection that doesn't actually exist. We're going to start a war that leads to the killing of tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands by some estimates of Iraqis. And liberals were against that. And I don't care what you think about Israel's policies. I have a problem with many of Israel's policies. You may have a problem with many of Israel's policies. To condone the reaction that it was probably Israel, but oh, it turns out it was actually Hezbollah in an anti-Western demonstration, I have a huge problem with it. And it kind of epitomizes the problem I have with the drastic polarization over anything related to the Middle East as seen through the lens of Israel. This was Hezbollah bombing Lebanon. That's what it was. And the comments from the broadcaster are just not responsible.
Well, when there's an explosion here in our country, what is the first thing someone thinks of?
They probably first think of Muslims.
Right. They think radical Islamic terrorism. When
statistically speaking, most domestic terrorist incidents are conducted by white Americans, statistically speaking.
Right. I know. So perhaps, and this is not an excuse by any means, perhaps over there when there's an explosion,
right,
they immediately, just without good reason, think, well, this is probably Israel. That's what I'm thinking of. But I mean, these are people who are doing news, who are reporting. It's bad journalism. It's irresponsible.
Let's go into, when I talk about, I'm doing my 2014 New Year's resolutions later, and I'm going to wrap this into it. So I hope you're still with us then.